Hey everybody, how you doing today? Welcome to DadPooL Discussions. Today is Monday, October 23rd, 2023. And yes, it's day 23 of DadPooLoWeen. Can't believe this month is almost over now. And we get into the winter months and snow, and then we get Thanksgiving and Christmas, which still brings us tons of content. So don't think that once 31 days are over with DadPooLoWeen, that's the end. There's more to come, but I'll get on that later. We're here for today's movie, and we'll also talk about the series as well, and that's going to be Puppet Master. Yes, not the Puppet Masters, which I believe starred like Kiefer Sutherland or something like that. This is the Puppet Master. Full Moon Entertainment. Came out October 12th, 1989. Directed by David Schmuller. Written by Kenneth Hall and Joseph Collodi. And produced by Charles Band. This movie, I remember when it came out, we still had video stores. And this wasn't something that went to theaters. It was something that had a direct-to-video release. So my local video store, it was called TNT Video. Rest in peace, Terry. He's the owner. He's a great guy. I remember seeing a lot of promotional art and cardboard standees for this film, and I would always inquire about it, and he'd say, well, it's supposed to come out this month. It was finally released in October of 89. Again, I was 13 years old. And when I took that video home and watched it with my mom, oh my God. I watched the shit out of that tape. I got my rental's worth. And back then it was only a day, somewhere 2-day rental. So this, since it was a new release, I believe it was a 1-day rental. So I remember watching it at least 5-6 times on repeat. Rewind, there's no DVDs, there's no streaming. We just can't go start from beginning. We have to rewind the tape and then watch from the beginning. So I did that at least 5-6 times. Knowing that this movie would be, I would call it a successful franchise. There's so many movies associated with Puppet Master. So many sequels. And yes, again, like with other franchises that are currently out, the continuity is kind of screwed up. But let me get into the plot of this movie, and then I'll get into the continuity in the order of which you should watch the films to get the best sense of the complete story. And there's also a few of them later on that came out 20 years ago that's more of a recap, and it kind of sets the whole, like, I'm not going to tell you have to watch every single movie, because I think you should, but there's a movie that kind of just gives a brief overview of the whole Puppet Master universe. But I'll get into that after I get into the plot of this. So picture it, 1939, Bodega Bay Inn, California. An old puppeteer named Andre Toulon is putting the finishing touches on his newest puppet, Jester, before he brings it to life. 2 Nazi spies arrive and head for Toulon's room, while Khan, another living puppet, warns him. Toulon calmly places all the animate puppets in a chest and hides it in a wall panel compartment. As the Nazis break down the door, Toulon appears to commit suicide. Present day. 4 psychics, miles apart, are all contacted by Neil Gallagher, all 5 of them previously being acquaintances. Professor Alex Whitaker, through a nightmare involving Neil and leeches, Dana Hadley, via a premonition of her own death, and psychic researchers Frank Forster and Carissa Stanford, through unspecified means. Dana has also uncovered Toulon's hiding place and tells the others, arranging a meeting at the Bodega Bay Inn where Neil resides. Upon arrival, they are surprised to find that not only does Neil have a wife, Megan, but that he has also killed himself, leaving instructions for Megan on the others' arrival. She leaves them with the body to pay respects, and Dana stabs a long pin into Neil's corpse to verify that he is in fact dead. While getting settled into their rooms, the psychics experience different confusing visions of Neil. That night at dinner, Dana intentionally riles Megan, causing her to leave the table, and Pinhead, another animated doll, crawls out of Neil's casket. Alex follows Megan and tells her their history with her husband, Carissa, a psychometrist, can see other objects' emotional history by touching it. Dana can tell fortunes and locate items and people, and Alex himself can foresee the future in his dreams. Neil was researching alchemy, and with Frank's help discovered that ancient Egyptians had created a method of reanimating inanimate figurines, a power also discovered by Andre Toulon, the last true alchemist. But because Neil had not made contact with them in a while, Dana and the rest thought that he had abandoned them and took whatever he was looking for himself, and they are there to take it and settle the score. That night, Teresa, the housekeeper, attends to the fire and is attacked by Pinhead with a poker, fulfilling Dana's fortune for her. Gallagher's body has moved to a chair which Megan finds, causing her to faint. Alex attends to her while the others return the body to the casket. After Blade finds protective spells on Alex and Dana's rooms, he moves on to Carissa and Frank's, who are having very loud interactions and disrupting Alex and Dana's sleep. 2 more puppets, Tunneler and Leechwoman, enter. Tunneler kills Carissa by drilling into her face when she inspects the noise coming from under the bed, and Leechwoman regurgitates leeches onto Frank, who's tied to the bed, draining his blood. Returning from a walk, Dana finds Gallagher's body in her room, and she is attacked by Pinhead, who breaks her leg. Pinhead chases her and repeatedly strangles and punches her until she manages to knock him away and crawl to the elevator, only to have her throat slit by Blade, fulfilling her fortune. Alex suffers more nightmares, eventually woken by Megan, who shows him Toulon's diary and tells him that Neil found Toulon's secret to reanimation. Alex has a vision of Neil, and they rush downstairs to escape, but find the bodies of Dana, Frank, and Carissa sitting around the dining table, accompanied by the newly resurrected Neil. He explains that while he did commit suicide, he used Toulon's secrets to become reanimated himself in an effort to become immortal. He reveals that he killed Megan's parents and expressed disgust for the puppets, violently throwing Jester, now satisfied to have human puppets to experiment with. The other puppets witness this and descend on Neil. Tunneler takes out his legs, and Blade pins him down while Leechwoman regurgitates a leech into his mouth, and the Pinhead finally breaks his neck. The next day, Megan sees Alex off, and she ascends the stairs. She brings Dana's stuffed dog, Leroy, to life. Yes, I know that's a lot to take in. This movie is only around, I want to say, an hour and a half or so. And that scene that I described with Gallagher, and when all the puppets are attacking him at the end, there's a scene where Gallagher's holding onto the top of the elevator and Blade cuts his fingers off. So just to avoid an X rating for this movie, they had to substitute the color of the blood from red to green. It's crazy because when you look at this movie, you don't really think X rating with this movie. So, this goes to show that back in '89, the the MPAA was really strict on what was allowed on in a movie. So for the simple fact that that blood changed it from an X rating to an R rating is kind of mind boggling. But this movie did have an appearance in the beginning. If you noticed the psychic at the fair, you noticed that Barbara Crampton, who is in a lot, she's a well-known actress. She's in a lot of, people like to say, B-rated horror movies. I just like to say she's in horror because she's fabulous. She's in one of my favorite movies, We Are Still There, or We Are Still Here. If you haven't seen that, I would definitely check it out. But let's get to a few behind the scenes facts about this movie, and then we'll touch on the continuity and the films and sequels that were produced and that are still being produced at this moment, revolving around the Puppet Master. So Pinhead, no, not the Pinhead from Hellraiser, but the guy with the brown sweater, the fingerless gloves, black fingerless gloves, and the tiny little head. That's actually stunt coordinated by a woman named Cindy Sorensen, who had to wear the same fingerless gloves and sweater sleeve to make it appear that it's the fist of Pinhead. She cited that the most difficult part of those scenes was to keep her head ducked the whole time while holding the Pinhead puppet on her shoulders and give off false punches at the same time. So, again, kudos to her for being able to pull that out. And again, if you watch the movie, it's quite hidden very well, and she did a great job. Leech Woman's mouth is made of a foam latex, which makes the mouth appear to be more flexible whenever Leech Woman coughs up a leech. Only 3/4 of the leech mechanism comes out of the puppet, and then a simple camera cut creates the illusion that an entire leech comes out of Leech Woman's mouth. She's one of my favorite characters. The Bodega Hotel, which I have an image here. Let me pull that up. So the Bodega Hotel was a miniature, which was built about the size of a refrigerator. And when the filmmakers found a perfect location, they hung the model in the air and used combinations of force perspective in the way to make the hotel appear as if it was actually there. Again, when you're watching this movie, it's hard not to tell that that's an actual model of the hotel. It's pretty unreal. And then we move to Blade. The Blade puppet required 5 puppeteers to operate, and it's based on one of David Schmoller's favorite actors, Klaus Kinski. If you watch the later sequels, he's one of the German bad guys in the film, and his Blade's design is made directly after him as like an homage, because he's such an evil guy. Let's see here. So much of the soundtrack for this film consists of synthesizer arrangements of Pino Donaggio's music for Tourist Trap, 1979, a film with similar themes in which director David Schmoller and producer Charles Band had previously worked. I mean, that Puppet Master theme is recognizable when you hear that music. I mean, you know it's Puppet Master, and you know what's about to happen. Puppets are about to come out and fuck some shit up. So it's kind of crazy. One of the earlier puppets that Charles Band pictured was a 6-armed ninja with guns. This puppet didn't make the movie, but it was the inspiration for the puppet 6-shooter that makes his debut in Puppet Master 3, Toulon's Revenge. And again, if we go and touch on, let me pull up a picture here real quick. If we go and touch on some of the sequels that had come out for Puppet Master, and we could talk about how you want to view this. So the storyline chronologically goes like this with all the films. So the first one you want to watch is Retro Puppet Master. And then you want to watch Puppet Master 2, Puppet Master 3, Toulon's Revenge. Then Puppet Master Axis of Evil, Puppet Master Axis Rising, Puppet Master Axis Termination, and then Blade, who was the first puppet to have his own spin-off movie, Blade the Iron Cross, and then comes to Puppet Master. Then Curse of the Puppet Master, Puppet Master 2, Puppet Master 4, Puppet Master 5, Puppet Master The Legacy, and then we have a crossover event of Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys, which came out in 2004, which starred Corey Feldman. Really crazy, oddball movie. And if you've seen Demonic Toys, you know that they're just the opposite of what Puppet Master are. They're mouthy, they're arrogant, they're ruthless. But are they as ruthless as the Puppet Master? I guess you have to watch that movie and see what happens. And then we have like a sort of like a reboot remake of it all called the Puppet Master Little Strike, which came out about 4 years ago. And then we have another spin-off film. It's called Puppet Master Dr. Death. And that's about the Dr. Puppet, which there's timelines are kind of skewed with that because some of the endings say it's between 2 and 4. It's just depending on the story, because like I said, you could watch every single one of these movies. You know, there's 15 films, and then there's a 16th coming out. Should be coming out soon. With the strikes, I think it's probably delayed a little bit, but it's Puppet Master Furnace, Leech Woman, so she's getting her own movie as well. And this, I believe, it's supposed to take place after the events of Puppet Master 2 or before the events of Puppet Master 2. I have to look that up. But yeah, that should be a pretty interesting one as Leech Woman. Yeah, it takes place after the events of Puppet Master 2. But there's not a lot that's known about that movie yet. It's still relatively being worked on, and it was supposed to start filming early this year, but I think with all the strike and everything, I think it kind of pushed things back. So definitely look for that on Full Moon. Full Moon does have its own app, its own way to watch every full moon movie. I watch these on Tubi. They're on Tubi as well. You can watch from start to finish every movie. And like I said, if you just want to watch like sort of like a recap, you can watch Puppet Master The Legacy, which is only a little over an hour and 10 minutes long, and it's pretty much the whole series in a nutshell from start to finish and in chronological order. So it's all the events of all the films wrapped up into one. It's a really, really good film. It references all the older films, all the events that took place, and kind of puts it in a current situation or a current timeline, if you will. So yeah. Also, there's a video game. If you have Steam, there's a video game that came out of a Puppet Master. It's available. It's free to play. There is, like every game, there's downloadable content that you could buy, certain skins, extra this, extra that. But yeah, it's called Puppet Master. It's on Steam. You can play it on mobile. It's in the Play Store. You can play it from your console if you download Steam, play it from your PC. So that's really cool that that's another horror game that's out there. Besides Texas Chainsaw Massacre, right now it's prominent in the Friday the 13th game that unfortunately is dying way too soon and going away, and then the Killer Clowns game that we have coming out. So yeah, I mean, this movie or this series is just from start. I've watched every single one, even the ones that are kind of tough to watch, but you want to see that story because you're so invested in this franchise. It's kind of like watching Child's Play 1 and Child's Play 2 and then just not wanting to continue watching any of the other movies, or even like a Final Destinations or a Saw. It's like there may be some bad films within the scope of the franchise, but I think they serve a purpose as they explain and expand on the story of Toulon, of his aspirations to be immortal and create immortality amongst all. And the puppets are always the main focus of the movie. Yeah, there's human actors involved, but it's all about the puppets. And Blade, he's the only puppet to be on the cover. It's another odd fact. Blade's the only puppet to be on the cover of every single movie, like VHS, DVD, Blu-ray cover. He's the only puppet. Blade is my favorite. I love Jester. I love Torch. When 6-Shooter was introduced, I got a 6-Shooter figure. Again, these are movies that I grew up with and grew to love. And I'm glad, like, the Littlest Reich was the Littlest Reich. Sorry, my dog is going nuts again. But the Littlest Reich kind of served. It wasn't too much of a reboot. It still kind of told the story of immortality and why the puppets exist, but from a different perspective. I'm kind of glad they didn't do a full-on, which I imagine they probably. I know Charles Band talked about it, doing a full-on reboot and starting all over again, but I think he chose to go with the Axis trilogy, which is a prequel trilogy to the first film. Again, these films, they're not long. They're not long in length. I think the longest one's a little hour and 40 minutes. The shortest is, I think, an hour. So these are movies that you could binge over, say, a weekend, and you can unveil and understand the whole story of Puppet Master, and understand Toulon and all the various puppet characters that are. I mean, there's even a werewolf character, a werewolf puppet. There's a lady, a girl puppet, a girl Nazi that kind of has guns come out of her chest. I mean, the creations and thought process of some of these puppets are intense. I mean, there's a Decapitron where he takes his head off, puts on this electric like lightning device, and that's how he kills totems. And speaking of totems, the totem kind of reminds me of the monster from Jason Goes to Hell, the little demon that's crawling around. Very, very, very similar. Not exactly, but you get that sense that evil, because in that particular movie, those totems are summoned from a hell dimension. So it kind of has that Jason Goes to Hell vibe in that particular movie. I think it's part 5 or part 4. One of those two, where you have the young puppeteer taking over for Toulon. So yeah, what are your guys' thoughts on Puppet Master? Have you seen Puppet Master? Was it something that creeped you out as a kid? Because I think this I know this came out in '89. I know Child's Play came out before that, and I know Dolls even came out even before that. I think Dolls came out '86. But the thought of inanimate objects coming to life, those are films that I enjoy. Those are films that I love, especially seeing it done this way, where you have a good mix of character development, doll development, mixed with the gore. Um, makes this a must watch during Halloween. It could be or any time of the year. If it's on TV, I'm watching it, but I'm watching it more so during October. And like I said, you can easily binge watch these. They're short in length. There's not much to them, and you can get the complete series done in a weekend if you just grab your popcorn, grab your favorite beverage, grab your girlfriend, your boyfriend, whatever, and just watch the movie. It's great. So, like I do with all the movies that I'm reviewing and watch, I like to incorporate a little DadPooL mix with the movie. So here's what the old image generator made up for me for DadPooL and Puppet Master. You tell me if you like it or not. So some of them are okay. Some of them I'm like, could have done better. But we have this one where DadPooL's the jester, and he's got the jester on the strings, and I thought that was pretty cool. The little Puppet Master kind of looks like a mix between Blade's face and Jester's face. And we have this one here. It's kind of like a little mini robot, and Joker. DadPooL's got this crazy smile. He's got like a little German Ruger gun, which is kind of crazy because that's, again, this movie is heavily focused on Germany and early 40s, late 30s. So that was a pretty cool touch. Here's another one with a crazy smile, and there's like a little hand in the background with a puppet. I think it's supposed to mimic the jester's look when he's smiling. I don't know. This is AI. This is what they do. You punch in a few keywords and hope and pray you make something cool. And then I don't know. I said DadPooL watching the 1989 movie, The Puppet Master, and it popped up this, and it kind of looks like Dr. Death sitting there next to two little Sesame Street, and that kind of looks like Christopher Lloyd. Like, I don't understand why Christopher Lloyd is in this. Kind of looks like a combination Uncle Fester type. It's crazy. I didn't even type anything with Christopher Lloyd, but apparently that's their version of Puppet Master. And then the last one I have here is they gave me a Blade, and this kind of looks like a cross between Chucky and Blade because it's got Blade's hair, Blade's similar like eyes and mouth, but it's got a Chucky outfit on. Again, AI is crazy. AI is crazy. Again, Puppet Master. 1989. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments down below. And when you're heading down to those comments, don't forget to stop and hit that like button, hit that subscribe or follow, and hit that share. It truly helps out a lot. The content doesn't stop after 31 days. The content will continue. We have a series that'll be coming out next month called DadPooL's Discussions Horror Then and Now, where I will be comparing and contrasting original horror movies versus the remakes and reboots. So I have a list together for that. And the first one that I'm doing is Hellraiser 87 versus the 2022 version that came out on Hulu. So what are your thoughts on remakes and originals? I'd love to have you on to talk about it. If there's a franchise that you want to talk about, that maybe you love the original but hate the reboot, or you hate the original but love the reboot, I'd love to have you on. I'd love to discuss it with you. Don't be afraid. Come in. We'll talk about it. We'll compare and contrast our own thoughts and ideas on the films, and it'll be a good time. So tune in for that. And then also coming in December, 25 Days of Christmas Horror, where each day, like I'm doing for DadPooLoWeen, I'll be reviewing a holiday slasher, dark themed Christmas movie. So definitely, I'd love to see you there as well. And I got more ideas for content. Uh, I have a list started of the greatest villains in film, not just horror. And then I'm working. I know I started a while ago, but I'm trying to finish up writing those, as well as keeping up with this Halloween and everyday video content, where I wanted to do the AFI's 100 best films, starting with Ben-Hur at 100. And then also, I have my short horror story podcast that has 6 episodes up right now. They're only about 5 minutes in length. They're available on Spotify. You check that out. I still got to finish writing and continue that story. Like I said, but I've, anybody that knows me, I've had a few hiccups here and there. That's kind of took my attention from a lot of things, but I'm still determined and I don't want to say enthusiastic. I am enthusiastic, but I'm determined and poised to finish this series and put this content out for you daily. So again, links in the description for the podcast. Go subscribe and follow. And new stories will be coming out. There's a 3-parter about The Raven. So I know part 1's up there. Still got part 2 and part 3 to put out. And then I'm working on a book as well. I'm working on a full novel. I don't want to go too much into details of it, but as I get closer to getting that finished, I'm writing a little bit here, a little bit there, but I have the whole premise outlined, and I want to do big things with this. So as I get closer and closer to being complete, I'll keep you updated as to when the release of that will be, what other spin-offs will be based off of that, other forms of media. So again, you got to follow the channel, follow the TikTok, the YouTube, the Twitch. Follow me on Twitter X. I post daily on TikTok, post daily on Twitter. Go check out the merch store. Got some more designs coming out for the holidays. So yeah, I think that'll bring me to the end of this one. The end of day 23. I can't believe Halloween is next week. It's unreal this time. Oh, and speaking of Halloween, for all you Fortnite players out there, tonight in the item shop, when this video comes out about an hour later, Jack Skellington will be in the item shop, and tomorrow on the 24th, Michael Myers will be in the item shop. And I've been on record for years saying that Fortnite needs to come out with these horror icons for a skin, and finally we're seeing a Michael Myers. I know we had an Ash one come out from Evil Dead, but we want the Freddy, we want the Jason, we want the Chucky, we want the Leatherface. Bring them out, come on. And I think Michael Myers is going to be that start to where we're going to see more of those in the game. But before I get out of here, let me just I want to say again, thank you for listening, thank you for watching, thank you for tuning in, whether it's live when this is being played or you're catching it at a later time. Appreciate you. Just a couple things. Go watch a movie. There's so much out there. Go check out one of these Puppet Masters. There's 15 films. Go check one out. Let me know in the comments what you saw and what you thought of it. And hug your loved ones as well. And until tomorrow, until next video, I'm DadPooL, and I love you. See you later.